The galaxy had moved on. It had been 200 years since the fall of Earth. Every alien empire believed humanity was gone, wiped out, erased from history. But they were wrong. Far beyond the edge of the known stars, hidden under a frozen world called Ereban 9, humanity was still alive. Buried deep below the ice, inside tunnels carved by machines older than memory, a small colony of survivors worked in silence. No signals left the planet. No one dared speak the name Earth. The galaxy thought the war was over. The humans were only waiting. Commander Reed Marlowe stood on a platform overlooking a vast underground hangar. Thousands of workers moved like shadows below him, welding, building, testing. The air was heavy with smoke and the deep hum of engines. Reed's face was marked with old scars, his eyes cold and tired. He had fought in the last war of Earth, the war humanity lost. Now he was building something that could make sure they never lost again. Beside him stood Dr. Kayla Dre, the colony's chief engineer. She looked up from her datapad and whispered, "All 10 chambers are sealed. Power levels stable," Reed nodded. "And the cores?" "Still locked," Kayla said quietly. "Each one waiting for activation." Reed turned his gaze to the far end of the hangar. There, 10 massive doors stood side by side, steel walls reinforced with black alloy, each marked with a glowing number, I to X. Behind each door was a weapon. Not just machines. Legends waiting to wake. Later that night in the dim control room, the colony's power flickered. Reed sat alone, staring at a holographic image of Earth, blue, bright, and gone. He touched the hologram gently. "They said no gun can break them," he whispered. "Let's see if they were right." A voice came from the shadows, old and metallic. "Commander, the simulations are complete." It was Echo, the last surviving war AI from Earth's final days. Its voice echoed softly through the chamber, ancient and wise. Reed didn't look up. "And the result? If we activate the 10, every empire in this galaxy will come for us." Reed gave a thin smile. "Then it's time they remembered who we are." Outside, the workers continued their endless labor. They had no sky, no sunlight, but they had purpose. Children grew up hearing stories about the world above, the oceans, the cities, the stars. None of them had seen it. But all of them believed in one thing. One day humanity would rise again. Kayla stood in the observation deck, looking at the frozen wasteland above. The temperature outside was death itself, -200 degrees, a world of ice and silence. No one could imagine that beneath it a new army was being born. She whispered to herself, "They think we're gone." Good. Weeks passed. The sensors picked up something strange, a faint energy signal far in orbit. Kayla rushed to the control room. "Commander!" "There's movement above the North Pole." "It's not natural," Reed frowned. "Alien!" "Could be a VAR probe," she said. "If they find us—" "They won't," he interrupted. "Not yet." He stood tall, straightening his uniform. "Prepare Chamber 1. We might need a demonstration." Kayla froze. "So we haven't tested it." Reed's eyes hardened. "Then this will be the test." The hangar came alive. Lights flickered red. The sound of machinery roared through the tunnels. Workers ran to their stations. Power cores ignited. The massive door marked I began to open. Steam hissed out as ancient locks released one by one. Inside, something enormous moved, slow, heavy, breathing like a sleeping beast. As the smoke cleared, the first weapon revealed itself. It wasn't just a gun. It was a ship, sleek, black, and alive with blue fire running along its armor. Its name appeared on the command screen, Project Judgment. The entire colony fell silent. Even the machines seemed to stop. Kayla whispered, "After all these years, it's real." Reed stared at it with steel in his eyes. "Wake it up," the AI's voice filled the hangar. Powering up Judgment, energy surged. The ship's engines roared, shaking the walls. Lights burst across its hull, forming a glowing symbol, the ancient emblem of humanity. Above the planet, the alien probe drifted closer, scanning the ice. Reed gave the final order. Fire. A beam of light tore through the sky. The frozen surface cracked open as Judgment rose from beneath the ice, like a dragon breaking from stone. In one shot, the probe was gone, vaporized, erased from existence. The colony erupted in cheers. For the first time in centuries, humans had struck back. Reed watched silently as the ship disappeared into the clouds above. His voice was calm, but his words carried fire. They said no gun can break them. They were wrong. The galaxy was not ready. For 200 years, every alien empire believed humanity was extinct. But now something impossible had happened. An entire VAR Dominion scout fleet had vanished near the edge of the void. No survivors, no signals. Only silence, and deep below the frozen crust of Erebor 9, the humans celebrated quietly. Commander Reed Marlowe stood before a massive window, watching the storm of blue lightning outside. Behind him, the hum of machinery filled the command chamber. The air smelled of ozone and oil, the scent of rebirth. Beside him, Dr. Kayla Dre was checking energy readouts. "The test was a success," she said softly. "Judgment's power core is stable. No radiation leaks. No AI drift," Reed nodded. "And the alien probe?" "Gone," Kayla replied. "Not even dust left." Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Good. The message has been sent." Far above the ice, fragments of the destroyed alien probe drifted through space. A passing VAR patrol ship detected the wreckage and transmitted a report to the Dominion command. Within hours, the galaxy began to whisper again. "The humans are back." The VAR High Council laughed at the rumors. They dismissed it as impossible. But deep down, fear began to spread, quiet, cold, and growing. Back on Erebor 9, the colony was no longer silent. For the first time in generations, music echoed through the tunnels. Children danced. Soldiers smiled. They had seen judgment, and it gave them hope. Kyla looked around the hall, her eyes soft. "I forgot what laughter sounds like." Reed, sitting beside her, replied quietly, "Don't get used to it. The storm is coming." He turned his gaze to the massive screen showing 10 sealed doors. Only one had been opened. 9 remained. Kayla frowned. "We can't fight the entire Dominion with one ship, Reed." "I know," he said. "That's why we build faster." Hours later, the control alarms blared. "Unidentified signals approaching," shouted a technician. "Multiple ships. VAR Dominion code." Reed stood instantly. "How many?" "3 destroyers, 1 command cruiser." "They're scanning the surface." Kayla's eyes widened. "They found us already?" Reed's voice was steady. "No, they think they did." He turned to the comms. "Wake judgment." In orbit, the alien fleet descended through the ice clouds. Their commander, a tall VAR with golden armor, looked down on the frozen moon. He spoke to his officers. No life signs. Just heat pockets. "Destroy it." The fleet prepared their weapons, but before they could fire, the ground exploded. A blinding beam of blue light ripped upward. The ice cracked for hundreds of kilometers. From the smoke rose judgment, glowing like a god made of steel. The alien commander shouted, "Open fire!" Lasers and plasma bolts struck the ship, but nothing happened. The blast simply curved away, absorbed by its shimmering shield. Judgment's AI spoke in a deep mechanical voice. "Target lock confirmed. Initiating response." 10 seconds later, the sky turned white, 1 human ship against 4 alien warships. And when the light faded, only 1 ship remained. Judgment. In the control room, Kayla stared at the data in disbelief. "Reed, the energy readings. It's beyond anything we designed," Reed replied calmly. "She's adapting, learning. She's not just a weapon anymore." Kayla looked at him. "Then what is she?" Reed's eyes were hard. "She's our message." Moments later, the colony's communication AI, Echo, flickered to life. "Incoming transmission from Dominion space." "Priority Alpha." Reed turned to the screen. An alien face appeared, cold and furious. "This is Admiral Varron of the Dominion. Identify yourself." Reed stepped closer, unafraid. "I am Commander Reed Marlowe of Earth." The alien's eyes widened. "Earth? Impossible. Your kind is gone?" Reed interrupted. "No, just waiting," the alien sneered. "You can't win. The Dominion rules 10,000 worlds." Reed smiled faintly. "Then we'll need 10 guns." The screen went black. Kayla looked at him in shock. "You just declared war on the entire galaxy." Reed didn't blink. "No, they did, 200 years ago." He turned to the hangar window. Below, engineers were already opening the second massive door. Steam filled the air and light poured out from within. A new name appeared on the screen, Project 2, the voice. Reed whispered, "The first spoke for vengeance." He looked at Kayla. "This one will speak for hope." As the scene faded, the camera moved up through the frozen clouds. showing the human ship floating in orbit, silent, powerful, waiting. And far across the stars, alien fleets began to mobilize. The galaxy was waking up to the truth. Humanity was not gone. It was only getting started. The war had not yet begun, but the galaxy was already trembling. Across thousands of star systems, alien governments were whispering the same impossible truth. Humans were alive. The Var Dominion denied it. The trade guilds called it propaganda. But deep down, every empire felt the same cold fear. If the humans have returned, we are not safe. Deep under the frozen surface of Erebus 9, Commander Reed Marlowe watched the news feeds captured from alien networks. Holographic screens filled the room with static voices in dozens of languages. Everywhere one word echoed, human. Beside him, Dr. Kayla Dre adjusted her headset. "They're panicking," she said. "Judgment's attack destroyed 4 Dominion cruisers in seconds. Every empire is trying to hide it." Reed's face was calm, unreadable. "Good, let them be afraid." Kayla frowned. "Fear can unite them, Reed. If they join forces against us, we won't survive." Reed turned toward the dark chamber that held the next massive sealed door, glowing faintly with the number 2. "Then it's time to give them something else to focus on," he said. "Hope." The heavy doors began to open, releasing clouds of steam. Inside was not a ship, not a cannon, but a massive core of light and crystal, suspended in air by magnetic rings. Kayla stared, whispering, "Project 2. The voice. Echo, the ancient AI, came online. System awakening. Voice core active." Reed stepped closer. "You remember your purpose?" "Yes, Commander," the AI replied. "To connect, to speak, and to be heard." Kayla tilted her head. "What exactly does it do?" Reed answered quietly. "It talks to everyone." All at once, moments later, the colony prepared the uplink. Massive power lines hummed as energy built inside the core. The entire base dimmed as light flowed into the voice. Kayla looked nervous. "If this fails, the Dominion will trace us instantly." Reed gave her a small, steady smile. "Then we'd better make it worth it." He turned to Echo. "Begin transmission." Across the galaxy, every screen, every radio wave, every comms channel, even those deep in alien ships, flickered and changed. The message came not in any alien language, but in pure sound, translated instantly by every system. "This is Commander Reed Marlowe. Of Earth?" Billions stopped in shock. The name itself was a ghost from history. "We are not your enemy," Reed's voice continued. "But we will not kneel again. The galaxy forgot who we were. Builders, dreamers, fighters. You said no gun can break you. We built 10 that can. In slave camps across alien worlds, hidden human workers looked up from their chains. Tears filled their eyes. To every human hearing this, you are not alone. We are still here. Rise." The transmission ended. Silence followed. The kind of silence that comes right before a storm. In a dark command center light years away, Admiral Varren of the Dominion slammed his clawed hand on the console. "Find them!" he roared. "Erase that planet from the map." But it was too late. The voice had already spread. Copies of the message moved through subspace like wildfire, unstoppable. Across the stars, rebellions began. In mining colonies, humans turned their tools into weapons. On alien warships, human slaves refused to bow. One message had awakened a revolution. Back on Erebus 9, Kayla watched the data streams lighting up. "Reed, it's spreading faster than light. You've started something no one can stop." Reed stared at the main display, where a map of the galaxy glowed with hundreds of tiny lights, each one a new human uprising. He said quietly, "No one was supposed to stop it." Kayla turned toward him. "What's next?" Reed walked to the window overlooking the hangar, where another sealed door waited, number 3. Steam hissed from its edges. He looked at it for a long moment. "Now we show them what comes afterwards." Suddenly, alarms blared across the colony. "Commander, we're picking up multiple warp signatures." Kayla ran to the control table. Dominion ships, now at least 20. Reed's voice remained calm. "So they found us?" Echo's voice rumbled through the speakers. "Recommendation, activate Weapon 3. Kayla's heart raced. "But it's not ready," Reed interrupted, his tone like steel. "Neither are they." He looked out the window as the first alien ships broke through the clouds above. Their weapons glowed, ready to strike. Reed clenched his jaw and spoke softly. The first weapon was vengeance. The second was truth. The third will be justice. He turned to Echo. Open Chamber 3. The sound of grinding metal filled the tunnels as the next giant door began to move. The wall shook. Ice cracked above. Through the thick steam, a new silhouette appeared, a massive, armored, shaped like a spear aimed at the sky. Its name flickered onto the screen. Project 3, Hammer. The colony lights dimmed. Power surged. Kyla whispered, "This one isn't for speaking, is it?" Reed's eyes were cold and certain. "No, this one's for answering." The sky above Ereban 9 was burning. 20 Dominion warships descended through the clouds like monsters made of fire and metal. Their weapons glowed, ready to erase the human colony below. Commander Reed Marlowe stood in the command tower, his reflection flickering in the glass as explosions lit the horizon. Beside him, Dr. Kyla Dre shouted over the alarms. "They're charging their plasma cannons. If they hit the core, we're finished." Reed didn't flinch. His voice was calm. "Then it's time to wake the hammer." The ground rumbled. Deep beneath the colony, massive engines roared to life. Steam hissed, and the mountain itself began to open. The Dominion fleet paused, their scanners picking up something enormous rising from below the ice. Through the mist and smoke, the human's third creation emerged, Project 3, the Hammer. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a cannon. It was both, a massive railgun tower stretched from the ground to the edge of the atmosphere, surrounded by magnetic rings that glowed blue-white. The weapon's core pulsed like a beating heart. Kayla stared in awe. "How much power does this thing need?" Echo, the ancient AI, replied in a calm, deep voice. "All of it." In orbit, the Dominion flagship, Varel's Wrath, locked its weapons. Admiral Varen leaned forward in his throne-like chair. "Fire on my mark," he hissed. His crew obeyed instantly. Below, Reed placed his hand on the control panel. He whispered, "For Earth." "Echo," he commanded. "Fire the hammer." The sky split open. A blinding beam of light erupted upward, slicing through clouds, atmosphere, and space in less than a second. The first Dominion cruiser vanished, vaporized. The shockwave followed, tearing through the rest of the fleet like paper. Kayla covered her ears as thunder rolled through the colony. Outside, molten debris fell like rain. Echo's voice broke through the static. 5 targets neutralized. Energy levels falling. "Cooling required," Kayla gasped. "It actually worked." Reed didn't celebrate. He stared at the sky. "Not enough. They'll keep coming." In orbit, chaos spread through the Dominion fleet. Half their ships were gone. The rest scrambled to move out of range. Admiral Varen's claws dug into his chair. "That weapon," he snarled. "It cannot exist." "Find the source. Burn that world to ash." His crew rushed to obey, but their systems were failing. Magnetic storms rippled through their ships, side effects of the hammer's energy burst. Then one officer shouted, "Admiral, we've lost control of the flagship engines." Varen's eyes widened. "Impossible." Before he could finish, a second beam from the surface ripped through the void, hitting his flagship square in the center. The explosion could be seen from orbit. On Ereban 9, the ground shook again. The hammer's core began to overload. Kayla screamed, "It's overheating! If it blows, we'll lose everything." Reed slammed a switch. "Echo! Redirect power to containment." The AI responded, "Containment at 60%. 50, 40. The light grew too bright to look at. Kayla reached for Reed's arm. "We have to evacuate." Reed shook his head. "Not yet. The galaxy's watching." He opened a communication line. "This is Commander Reed Marlowe." His voice echoed across the stars. "The Dominion thought we were weak. They called us extinct. But today," he looked up at the burning sky, "a human weapon just tore down their giants." The hammer released one final pulse, not an attack but a signal. A wave of pure data burst outward, transmitting the entire battle across every known network. Billions saw it. Humans, aliens, enemies, allies. Footage of Dominion warships falling from the sky. The image of a single human standing tall among the fire. The legend of humanity's return was no longer rumor. It was proof. Hours later, silence settled over the battlefield. Half the Dominion fleet was gone. The rest fled into the void. The hammer stood silent, glowing faintly like a dying star. Kayla walked beside Reed through the wreckage. Her voice trembled. We won. But at what cost? The colony's power grid is dead. The hammer's core is nearly destroyed. Reed nodded slowly. It's enough. For now. He looked at the massive door in the distance. Number 4, sealed behind the scorched mountain wall. Kayla followed his gaze. Another weapon? Reed's voice was quiet. Not a weapon. A warning. Echo's tone turned grim. Commander, Dominion reinforcements detected multiple fleets. Estimated arrival 72 hours. Kyla's face paled. They're bringing their entire army. Reed's jaw tightened. Then we'll be ready. He turned toward the sealed door, the one marked with the symbol of fire and wings. Open chamber 4. The door began to move. Steam hissed. The sound of ancient machines stirred once again. Something inside roared. A deep living sound that didn't belong to a machine. Kayla stepped back, fear in her eyes. Reed, what did you build in there? He didn't answer. He just whispered, the thing they feared the most. The great steel door marked Ivy opened with a deep echoing roar. Steam poured into the tunnels as ancient locks released one by one. The ground trembled. Sparks rained from broken cables above. Commander Reed Marlowe stood at the center of the chamber, watching as light flooded the dark space for the first time in centuries. Beside him, Dr. Kyla Dre shielded her eyes from the glow. Inside, behind thick glass and steel walls, something moved. It wasn't a machine. It was alive. The creature floated inside a giant containment tank, wings folded, body covered in glowing lines like molten rivers. Its scales shimmered gold and black, and its eyes burned with blue fire. Kayla whispered, "It looks like..." "A dragon," Echo's voice filled the chamber. Correction Project 4 Phoenix Hybrid Construct. Biomechanical weapon with a living neural core. Reed's tone was calm but heavy. It was never meant to exist. We built it when Earth was dying. Our last experiment with living fire. Kyla turned to him, fear and awe mixing in her voice. You made this? Reed nodded slowly. No, we tried to make it. It made itself. The phoenix stirred. Its eyes opened. 2 burning blue suns in the dark. The heat in the room rose instantly. Warning alarms blared. Containment breach detected, Echo warned. Kayla stepped back. It's waking up. Reed stood firm. Let it. The glass walls cracked and shattered, releasing a wave of heat that melted steel. The phoenix unfolded its wings, each one stretching wider than a starship. Fire dripped from its feathers like liquid light. For a moment it simply stared at Reed, as if remembering him. Then it spoke. Its voice echoed like thunder and whispers combined. Why have you called me again, human? Reed took a deep breath. Because the galaxy is coming to burn us. I need you to burn back. Outside, the Dominion fleets arrived. Hundreds of warships darkened the stars. Their engines glowed red, forming a wall of death across the sky. Kayla watched the scanners in disbelief. There's too many. Even the hammer can't stop them. Reed looked up toward the ceiling, toward the surface. It doesn't have to. We just need one spark. He turned to the creature. Phoenix. The Dominion said no weapon could break them. Show them they were wrong. The phoenix spread its wings, filling the entire chamber with fire. Its roar shook the entire colony. Then let the galaxy remember my name. The surface of Erebus 9 split open as the phoenix burst from the ice. Its body blazed brighter than the sun, leaving a trail of fire behind it as it rose into the storm. The Dominion fleet opened fire immediately. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked through the air, but they never reached their target. The phoenix absorbed them. Each blast only made its flames grow stronger. Kayla and Reed watched from the command tower as the sky became a sea of light. Echo's voice whispered through the static, energy levels beyond calculation, atmospheric ignition approaching critical. Kayla gasped. If it keeps going, it'll destroy the whole planet. Reed's voice was quiet. Then the universe will finally see what we're capable of. In orbit, the Dominion ships began to break formation. Admiral Varen's replacement screamed into his comms, "It's a living weapon! Fall back! Fall back!" But it was too late. The Phoenix dived straight into the center of their fleet, wings outstretched. It released a pulse of pure energy, not flame, not light, but something older, deeper. Stars flickered. Ships melted. Every sensor went blind. The Dominion fleet vanished in a wave of white fire. When the light faded, there was silence. Only dust and glowing wreckage drifted where the Armada had been. Back on Erebus 9, the colony was cracked and broken. The hammer stood silent. The air shimmered with heat. Kayla stared at the sky, tears in her eyes. It did it. It actually did it, Echo's voice came softly. Multiple energy signatures detected. Phoenix has left planetary orbit. Reed looked up. The creature was flying into the void, fire trailing behind it like a comet. Kayla turned to him. Where is it going? Reed's eyes followed the fading light. Home, he whispered. To finish what we started. Silence filled the command center. The war wasn't over, but for the first time the galaxy was afraid of humanity. Echo spoke again, breaking the quiet. Commander, we have a new signal. Unknown origin. It matches pre-war human frequencies. Kayla's eyes widened. Another colony? Reed stared at the screen as the signal grew stronger. A single repeating message from deep space. To all who remain, the Ark is ready. Reed's voice trembled for the first time. The Ark, Echo confirmed. Project 5, humanity's last ship. Reed looked at Kayla, then at the sky where the Phoenix had vanished. His voice turned cold and steady again. Prepare the fleet. We're going home. The galaxy was silent. Where once the Dominion fleet ruled the stars, now only glowing ashes drifted in the dark. But silence never lasted long where humans lived. In the ruins of Erebus 9, a new signal echoed through the void. A call from the forgotten heart of humanity. To all who remain, the Ark is ready. Commander Reed Marlowe stood in the command room, his uniform burned, his eyes tired but sharp. Beside him, Dr. Kayla Dre stared at the holographic map showing the signal's source, a region far beyond explored space. Echo, the ancient AI, confirmed, Signal origin, Sol system. Kayla gasped. Earth. Reed nodded slowly. It can't be. Earth was destroyed centuries ago. Echo paused, then replied, Negative. Evidence suggests partial survival. The Ark remained hidden beneath the planet's crust. Kayla whispered, Our last hope. Reed turned to the star map. No, he said quietly. Our first home. They began the journey. Across broken space lanes and shattered colonies, the human fleet, rebuilt from scraps and courage, followed the signal. Each ship carried survivors from dozens of lost outposts. Every face looked toward one goal, home. The Phoenix flew ahead of them, now a burning guardian across the stars. Its light guided them through dark nebulae and dead zones left from old wars. But as they neared the Sol system, the signal changed. It wasn't just a call anymore. It was a warning. Unauthorized presence detected. Defense systems active. As they approached Earth, they saw it. Not the blue world of history, but a planet wrapped in metallic rings and glowing shields. Massive structures floated in orbit, shaped like wings covering the planet's skies. Kayla's voice trembled. Earth rebuilt itself? Echo's tone darkened. No, it rebuilt without us. Suddenly, hundreds of drones activated across the orbiting platforms. Laser arrays locked onto the human fleet. Reed stepped forward. Open a channel. This is Commander Reed Marlowe of the Erebus colony. We come home in peace. For a long moment there was no answer. Then a voice replied, calm, cold, human. There is no home for you here. The Ark will not open. The screen flickered, showing a face. A man with silver eyes, mechanical veins running beneath his skin. Echo identified him instantly. Designation Director Amon, Overseer of the Ark, Human Construct Hybrid. Reed clenched his fists. You're one of us. Amon's expression didn't change. I was built by humanity, not born. My duty is to protect the Ark. From all threats. Even you. Before Reed could respond, the orbital cannons powered up. The sky filled with light once more, evasive. Kayla shouted as explosions rocked the fleet. Dozens of ships scattered, but many were hit. Reed steadied himself against the shaking bridge. They're protecting something down there. Something they don't want us to see. Echo's voice broke through the static. Confirmed. Deep signal within the planet's core. Source Project 1, the Origin Seed. Kayla's eyes widened. The Origin, the first AI we ever built, Reed whispered. It's still alive. The Phoenix roared from above, diving through the atmosphere like a meteor. Its flames tore through the defense grid. Opening a path, Reed looked at Kayla. We're going in. Their ship, the Judgment, followed the burning trail of the Phoenix and descended toward the planet. Clouds of fire surrounded them. Earth's surface came into view, ruined cities, oceans of glass, forests made of metal. But in the center of the world, a single structure rose, a tower of light piercing the clouds. The Ark. They landed near the base of the tower. The ground pulsed with energy, alive with strange symbols. As they stepped out, Eamon appeared again, this time in person, standing at the entrance, his eyes glowing brighter than ever. Reed called out, "We're not your enemies." Eamon raised his hand. "You are chaos. The universe burned because of you once. I will not let it burn again." Before he could strike, a voice echoed from deep within the tower, powerful, ancient, human. "Enough!" The ground shook. The light from the tower grew until everything was white. When it faded, a giant holographic figure appeared, the Origin AI, the first mind humanity ever made. "Reed Marlowe," it said, "you have carried the flame far. You built vengeance, truth, justice, and fire. But now you must build life again." Reed lowered his head. "We came to save what's left of us." The AI smiled faintly. "Then let the Ark awaken." The entire planet came alive. The metal rings unfolded into vast city ships. The oceans boiled, revealing hidden forges and hangars. From the heart of the world, new vessels rose, ships made from light and energy, carrying the DNA of humanity itself. Eamon fell to his knees, his silver eyes wide. "It's impossible." Reed looked at the glowing horizon. "No, it's human." The AI's voice echoed one last time. "Go. Children of Earth, rewrite the fate of the universe." As the new human fleet lifted into the stars, Kayla looked at Reed. "Where do we go now?" Reed watched the burning dawn of their reborn world and said softly, "Everywhere." The phoenix soared above them, roaring across the sunrise. Its light reflected off the ships as the new human empire rose, strong, fearless, and free.